day, everybody. Welcome to Friday Dojo number 229. It's wonderful to see everybody. I don't know if you notice, my body's a little under the weather today, but my spirits are high. It's been kind of perpetually sodding around here for much of May through now the first week of June. So bear with me there. It's been an exciting week, though. Very excited to hear about the new book finally being released. Amazon's notified me that mine's en route, so I'm very excited to get that, and also excited to see the new merch in the James True Live shop. I don't see anyone's hands raised. I liked the some of the gist of today's show. Both the title theme about the spine, as well as what James touched on with what's going on with Elon and Trump, which I know very little about, but I thought that was an apt scene to share, where Trump is, on the fence about whether to include the water in the image. When I was a kid, I kept a poster in my room of Albert Einstein. It was a picture of his face, and there was a quote alongside that said, "Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding." And that used to sit with me as this deep wisdom. And then as I met Ashley, and we started finding things about reptilians, and that was how it started, I guess, in the conspiracy theory world. And then found other people like Alex Jones, and started to get into those things. That notion of peace cannot be kept by force, can only be achieved by understanding, started to grow dark, about, like what James was saying today, all the things we have to be taught in order to be made, in order for our minds to be enslaved, as it were. But things come around full circle. I've since felt what it's like to be liberated from some of these things I was once enslaved before, and that's not exactly pain-free. And it does make us beg to question, what it is we are undoing, and what we are doing. It's good to hear criticism, James.
I wish that I would have pushed more into. I don't even know how to convey this idea because it's not wordy. It's a sort of assemblage. You go back into another cataclysm and you're looking at a very different us. You don't even have to imagine it, but just imagine that it's a very different us, but there's a dance that is the same. The dance is, how do we bring Babylon back? We do that with Nimrod's algorithm, with an equation, with an algorithm that is so captivating that everyone feels inclined, whether they hate it or whether they love it, to listen. They're inclined to listen. They can't stop. They cannot step away from this shaking. What kind of dance would you have to do to be that captivating? You could think about it and go, well, you'd probably have to like show some nipple. You'd probably have to like do something really provocative or do something really shocking. And the answer is, yeah, all that, but that's not enough. How do I know that's not enough? Because I'm not in the woods when I was 11, and I found that we didn't have the internet. There was a shoebox in the woods, and there were Playboys in there, and it was like a communal library of male teens. The point I'm trying to make is that you find this thing in all different kinds of fashion and all different kinds of culture. There's this dance. There's this captivating dance that is not just sexual, because I'm not still in the woods looking at that stuff. It requires a lot more. Now there's like carrot cake, the seasons, the smell, the birds doing the right, all these things are required to, but there's this signal, there's this ancient signal that says civilization, that says civilization, and that's not even the right word. It's the closest I can convey to you that there's this shaking sound that says terror, 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 terror. And if you shake that Nimrod enough, if you thump that fucking worm with your staff terror, 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 terror. You end up with one of the most magnificent, beautiful civilizations you've ever seen. I don't know another way of making it. I don't know of any other signal that would do that except for this. And even terror isn't right because terror doesn't even fully captivate it the same way sex doesn't. There's something deeply penetratingly attractive about this thing, about this algorithm. And it's so ancient that we know how to do it again and again and again, which is why it's so mind blowing that the Democrats and the Republicans are in the Aztecs in Temple of Mayor. That's Nimrod's algorithm. That there it is. It's right there. We're watching it. And it sounds like the worst of the worst competing with each other. That's what the signal does. That's what makes us watch. When I see what's popular on YouTube, it's always the closest thing to my genre would be uh like of something that I could do, I should say. Like if I really wanted to like up my game as far as YouTube stuff, I'd probably get into something more like real crime, historic real crime or something and like tell those stories because they might have more of a pull. And that inside those stories you would still see this exact same algorithm running. It's exactly the same. There's the hunger's the same, the desire's the same, and you could obliterate society and restart. And if you have millions of years to fucking wait for the neocortex to rise again, or billions or trillions of years, or if you start fucking using your brain, if you start tapping into how come all of nature has a seed except for humanity, then you're like, well, obviously humanity has a seed. So you just don't. Now we're cooking. Now we're fucking cooking. Now we can talk about this. Well, I've just now gotten you to the point to where I can distinguish. Okay, so you get it, right? There's yellow dashed lines, right? Like that's where we're at. We're just trying to have a conversation, right, about the cataclysmic repeat of the seed, and not to toot my own horn, but I think in our own way we are one of the few that has found this because we're not terrified of the terror. We're not terrified of the signal. I can look at the Democrats and Republicans and go, it's maybe it's not so bad. And then you see the Aztec, and as soon as you do, you're just like, oh my God, there it is. I to me, that's a huge, colossal, big, giant move, giant clue. It's so huge because it's showing you that algorithm, it's showing you that signal, and it looks like MTV, it looks like Instagram. It looks like TikTok, I guess I should say. It looks like whatever the thing is now. It looks exactly like Elon Musk with a black eye and his little boy on his shoulders in the White House, and Trump and a glass of water and a table and a napkin and not a napkin and all that focus on there. And in my mind, it even looks like this sounds so creepy. But when I watch Trump, I feel better. Not because not because I'm buying into it, because I'm like, watch, look at it's like you found an octopus and it's living in your aquarium. You've never had an octopus, and you're noticing, look how intelligent this thing is. Like it's unscrewing jars. It's like, what if an octopus like started like downloading its own mail? What if like it showed up with a cell phone one day in the tank, and it's just interacting with culture. It's just like that. You're watching the things that have always been able to do that. Just do it in front of you, and you can afford to see it now. It's nothing's broken. This is the only way. If you buy into this, and frankly, no one will fight me on this whole Aztec culture, same vibration. I'm waiting, but if you, so I don't want to push you into it, but if you can only see this through posturism. You could only see this with a positive view, a vibe that all this is perfect, even the loneliness, even the betrayal, even the lack of what feels like control. All of those things are just waiting for you to see not it, but like what's right behind it, like what it means, you know? We're going here, but there's a lot here, right? Like this is cool stuff.
Absolutely. When you mention that seeing Trump on television brings you comfort, it reminds me of what you said earlier about vibe being the principal notion of this stuff, or of this entertainment, of what keeps us entertained, what's given to be entertaining. Which, I mean, ultimately we decide, I suppose. Like I still have not quite engaged with it yet, just because for me the vibe is reminds me of a period of dissonance in my own life. But I see the comfort there. I see this. Miguel Connor this week shared a slight little tidbit about, from Heraclitus, about war being the father of all things. Uh, and I was alluding to that recently, talking about, or as you've said many times, red is the first color. Um, or I think that these things lend to a process, and obviously we're seeing that people understand this process, and that is comforting in a sense. And I think that, like, that glass of water that's full and still there by the side, what what is it behind us that he's entertaining, and within himself is all. I mean, also, as it's important enough to take what's there away and to see that something's missing so that he can put it back. And it's that important, and it's speaking to something, but behind us, behind what anyone will notice in that shot.
This is all monarchy. And if you can look at monarchy without evil, you can see monarchy as the first rise of entitled, fully entitled ego. And that the world said, okay, we'll let one of us have that. We'll let one of us have that. And a few years later, they'll have a buttload of gold, like a just ridiculous amount of gold. And you know what? Everyone will be like fine with it. They'll be like, hey, truth is in the fucking room. I don't have to hold it, but truth's in the room, right? So reality is complete. We've just given it all to one person and said, you hold this. I can't hold this in kind of entitlement. There's no fucking way. I don't want to be, you can't be in charge of the world. I mean, I'm not queen. Do you see what I just did? I just told you that yes, you can be in charge of the world as long as you're not queen, right? That you, it's okay. You don't have to be. This is, sorry, let me rephrase that. That what I truthfully said is, don't worry, you're not in charge of the world because you're not queen. Don't worry, it's okay. You don't have to be that bitch. And well, how do we keep her convinced? You got to give her a buttload of gold, man. This is you gotta give her all the gold. If you really don't want this, you're gonna have to give her all the gold, man. It's just what needs to happen, right? It makes sense. Truth is in the room. Everything's satisfied. Everybody's living where they want to be. We're good to go. And this is one of trillions of bubbles of reality. Fucking emitting out of the lava pit of possibilities, really, of just quantum possibilities of what civilization looks like. And underneath it all, you can come in with a fucking fiddle and play the same Yankee Doodle Dandy song, the same vibration of, bring the water back. Wait, move the water. Wait. Take the table, move the water, but lose the napkin. Yeah. Fuck pledge. I don't give a shit. We're going to fucking leave water stains on this. That's the message we're sending to the world. And that this is exactly the most delicate, perfect kind of vibe that you'd expect from Yo Yo Ma, from a ballerina, from nature itself, right? So isn't Trump proving politics is perfect?
I saw real time editing that I related to. I felt like he was doing like what I used to do in the studio, where you're surrounded by technical people and you go, no, a little here, a little there. You just know where it's just faster, and yet you can be surrounded by all these technical people, like, that wouldn't understand that, that a napkin looks tacky, or I mean, I just saw real time editing, just very quick and fast, faster than any of his surrounding. They wouldn't be able to make those decisions. And I was thinking right before that, I go, no, that changes the focal point way back to this antique thing over here, totally distracting, and then right after that he says, no, bring the table back. And then he like see my drink here, I have like a little lid on it, just like I like to put that on my drinks. And I saw that he didn't want to, maybe he was a little embarrassed, or just it just didn't look good, yet I find that interesting that he likes to, and then he's kind of put some intention into the water too. And he's like, whether he's aware of it or not, you don't have to be. I wasn't esoteric when I was in the studio. You just have a sense. You don't have to, I mean, it's not required, but I just thought I'd throw that in there because that's what I saw. And I just found it to be quite enlightening, actually. Just really made me think about a lot of things. But sorry, I know I interjected, but
Okay, Pi. Right on, Pi. Yeah, good to see you. Um, Go ahead, Pi. Go ahead. All right. I think you're
I'm
done.
done.
Alex, see your hands raised. Good to see you. Go ahead.
Can we talk about any topic, or does it have to be about the Trump and Elon Musk?
No, Alex, it's a potlatch. Go ahead and bring what you got.
I just wanted to talk about how James said nothing's broken. I'm sitting back and watching all this. I listen to tarot a lot. I don't know how people feel about tarot, about how it goes with the energies and everything that's happening. But all my readings, it kept on. I kept on hearing the same thing over and over and over. It kept on telling me about my life, but it kept on telling me about how I had to make a choice and how I had to cut these cords and how I had to release these energies. And then all these things will start happening. And about how it goes with politics and everything else. And as soon as I did what these people were talking about, as soon as I did the cord cutting ritual, and as soon as I released the energies and I returned to sender, oh, hell broke loose. These people that I haven't talked to in years, that my ex that I'm about to finally be divorced from, immediately gets in touch with me and starting fights with me for no reason at all, trying to bring up topics and things that never happened before, and old people started getting in contact with trying to get me um, trying to go with them to certain events, to try to get me to commit to something that I had no business wanting to get to, or try to or go see about a job that they were about to offer me $25-$30 an hour to something that I have never done before, nor do I want to do. And I just thought it was hilarious, man. I mean, these people that have judged me, have spread rumors about me, calling me certain things that I would never, never even. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't say this to my own enemies. I wouldn't do this to my people I don't even like. I would never do these things. And just because I pulled back my energy, I thought that they had they control over anyway. I didn't even know I was giving them my energy. But as soon as I did these things, immediately, boom, and I could feel myself. I could feel it returning to me. I just wanted to immediately. How you feel about that kind of stuff, James? I mean, it's just crazy about it. And just that's all.
James, or yeah, go ahead, James.
Um, I don't know if this is going to make any sense, but like, I think I mentioned this before, but I met this person once that she found four-leaf clovers remarkably efficiently. And you sh- and you've always heard I've always heard of people say, "Yeah, I can always find a four-leaf clover." And deep down I'm always like, "Here's some full shit." And then once I met this person and 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 she said it and then she did it. Like we were in a backyard or something and she did it like four or five times. Like it just kept happening. And I was doing it too, so I wasn't seeing them. And I've had other events like this, something with fish too, where I can't see a fish underwater and my friend can, but he knows that he can see fish more. I think this is everything, Alex. I think this is just how we render our reality, and we use chopsticks to do it. And that we're going to have Mortal Kombat sometimes to slice off the meat just right, that will allow us to render what we think is going to work, the hallucination that's going to work. Uh, I think other people find they need more numerology and more uh, tarot in order to just make it through the day. It's just a different sort of chemical equation. And so I think that it's difficult for me to talk about what the best kind of motor is. I think in the past I would have this idea that here's the motor and it needs to look like this. And I'm ashamed of the things that I've said that the motor has to look like. I'm just going to throw these out. I'm just throwing these out at random. They just happen to be things that I've noticed the guilt comes back a lot. One of them is AA. I have talked in the past about why AA, the model, doesn't seem to work a lot, but I don't like that I don't think that I have any say so in that this motor wouldn't work or would work. This is part of what I mean by working on your ajna, your purple belt. I want to pollinate the world. I don't want to fucking come in and say, "Hey, I don't want any V three-stroke motors in this." The Yugo is a fucking good car. The reason why so many people know what a Yugo is because that fucking thing worked cheaper than anything else. You could, if it turned over, you could probably push it up yourself. You could probably like tilt it back up yourself. It's a highly efficient as fuck, brilliant invention, and we dismiss it because it's so efficient. That's why we dismiss it. We dismiss it because it's not complex enough, it doesn't fuck up enough shit, and quite frankly, because of that, it's not rare. Rarity is more important than efficiency. Do you understand why I'm talking about four-leaf clovers now? The fashion that when I find a friend that can find more four-leaf clovers than I am, first of all, I think it's great. And I'm glad someone proved me wrong. It taught me about the world, going, wow, I did not know. I'm supposed to be smart. I'm supposed to be able to see fucking four-leaf clovers as good as anyone else. I can't be like four-leaf clover deficient. I can't have that. And then I started understanding what reality is. And I was just like, thank God I didn't have that. Thank God I could afford to not have that. Thank God I could afford to have a negative reaction, Alex. Because the negative reaction is what really allowed me to see something. I'm looking at a vibration that takes a while. Today I talked about your vibe is your greatest compass, and I didn't have time to talk about this, but you could say, well, that's stupid. Pierce Prison Planet person would say that's stupid because all sociopaths just follow pleasure and they just do whatever one they want, and because do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. And Aleister Crowley's evil, then that means you can't go around doing what thou wilt. That's fucking insane. And it's like, but you're not listening to your body. You're not listening to all five chambers of your lungs 4 days later as they're trying to put together the pieces of what you just did, of what you just said yesterday, of what you said the day before. And you have a digestion that takes process. The most simple way I can say this is that I can eat. I had a piece of carrot cake. Gotta finish the book. It was a big old fucking piece of carrot cake. That shit messes me up. I can't see. The capillaries in my eyes explode because of the sugar in one piece of it's like this death trap. And I the whole time I'm just like, I can't wait till I finish the book so I can go have a fucking Medusa drain me of blood for a while so I can't see shit and I could be lost in her cave for 12 hours to celebrate. And then I could feel bloated and I feel like a fat, lazy fuck that has no self control. And I'm just like, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. Let's fucking do this. And I could spend the rest of my life torturing myself saying this is what's really messed up with me. Or I can sit there and really trust myself and go, dude, you got to lean into this. You got to lean into this. And it took me 2 days to eat that one piece of carrot cake. That's a huge record for me. That's amazing that it was able to take that long. And quite frankly, I think the capillaries exploding in my eyes helps because you can't see as well. So it doesn't even like turn you on. But it's like, Alex, I trust this in me. I'm ashamed of it. I'm glad I live alone. I don't want anyone else to see it. I don't want to raise any kids on this. It's not, this is the shaman walk, man. You know? it's it it doesn't look healthy because it's honestly not, it's honestly not really healthy. It's just my equation. It's just how it works.
Everybody freeze.
Hey Nancy. Oh, I don't know if you mentioned that, but yeah, that's all I got for now anyway, really on it. I don't know if that helps, Alex, except for I don't understand your motor all the time, buddy. And I fucking appreciate watching you
I can't see anything.
tell me how it works. Does this make sense? Like I firmly do. And sometimes I think sometimes, Alex, I think you're off the fucking rails. I'm just like looking at you, just like, what are you fucking living in four-leaf Cloverville over there? And you are. You are. You are. You're surrounded by them. And you know what, Alex? I fucking believe you. I
Nobody
believe you.
understands me. Even my own father says, "Dude, how can you be happy?" I'm giving away everything. I don't own a bunch of junk. I don't need things. I give away. I sell my stuff when I help people who can't help themselves. I help poor people. I do things for people. And my old man, he can't understand how am I always happy. It offends him that I'm happy. It offends him that I can actually operate like this, keep myself going. I don't have anything, but I don't need anything. I don't want anything. And the further the more happier I get, the angrier these people get at me. I don't understand this. I can't fathom. But now that when you step back at it and look at it, nothing is broken. It's working exactly like it's supposed to. Because if you have this side, you have to have the negative. You have to have it has to be balanced. And it's just where are you going to get the balance from? Where are they going to come from? And it's just nothing is broken. It's all working perfectly, James. Thank you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, this is why I didn't actually get to finish the point about the I mean it's my fault, but uh so like how do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, which if I wanted to take this in a superficial, unresponsive way, I would say, well, whatever I want to do, wherever I want to do it, whenever I want to do it is what I want. And when you do that, there are consequences for that. You stay up too late, your capillaries explode because you ate too much sugar. There's a million different things that happen. And all those things are the flavor. That's what it tastes like. That's what it tastes like. It's the entire thing. And it's an engine. Just like AA. I don't like how often I've been anti psilocybin. It's a motor. I've had that motor before. I don't I My purple belt sucks when I find myself, but also I just want to be authentic more about just my own path too, you know? So it's tricky. But it's like I my perfection comes in noticing the perfection of something that I would find personally broken. I want to catch the moment when I find something broken, Alex. I want to catch that moment and then use that as the opportunity to work on my purple belt. I'm looking for that pheasant all the time. I'm looking for, this is not about me telling you I'm always thinking it's perfect. It's me telling you I'm looking, actively hunting opportunities when I think that the world is not perfect. And then I pull that moment into the mat. I pull that person who's me onto the mat in that moment. And I do that because I build up so much. Oh, look how important it is to look at the moment. Look how important it is. I do that because I'm expecting the guilt of me not doing that to come in and haunt the fuck out of me if I find myself in a moment like that and not just looking for a way to see that it's perfect. The expectation isn't necessarily there. I don't have to be able to pull the rock up. I don't have to be able to lift this giant weight. I have to notice that it's a giant weight that I think I have to lift. That's all the dojo. That's your entire dojo is that. I've already won. You've already won just by noticing that you're jealous. This is one example. You've already won. This is really lightweight, so I can say this, what I'm about to say. Super lightweight. What I mean is that I didn't really even feel this. It's like a nonchalant, more of a surprise I didn't feel this. Miguel Connor's book is doing so well. Like it's on BBC, like all these people are talking about it. And I'm super freaking stoked for him because I literally love that guy. I've bought his tarot decks. I mean, I want to support him. Not only has he helped me, in my own, as you guys know, he's really helped my voice a lot, but it's just like genuinely just love his stuff and proud of him. And when I'm watching him do a book like that, I learn about myself because I notice that feeling and I notice that, oh, it doesn't really bother me. It's a little bit there, a little bit more of just like, wow, it'd be great if people would talk about this. Look at this. And you're just like, oh, wow, there's more people. Oh, gee, here's some giant dude talking about it too. Coast to coast. Wow, holy fuck, he got on coast to coast for that. But that's amazing. All those things. This is so healthy for me. I look for this more and more. Like this is how I grow. I want to hang out with people that make me feel that way. Do you understand? This is crucial. That's what I want. I want to hang out with people like that and to be like, oh, man, I don't really need to lose weight. Like it's like that kind of feeling. It's like, yeah, that's not very comfortable. That's what you want. There's the wake, right? There's that little groove where you're really finding a nice pocket. So I just disproved if you don't hear what I mean by corpus erectum, this is not about following your first instant limbic pleasure. It's about understanding your digestion takes days. The next day you wake up with, I had fucking carrot cake last night. I'm either going to be in pangs, stomach pangs all day, or I need to put something in my belly to fucking mask that. And I just describe what everyone does all the time. This is what everyone does all the time, normally, just normally. Why? Because it gives the limbic brain something to chew on that's exciting. The ups and downs of the sugar is very enticing because if you cannot afford a reality, one will be provided for you by someone else. And it looks like a food pyramid because the pyramid is the control shape, isn't it? So doesn't it make sense that it's like, no, 3 meals a day? You need ketchup and you need mustard. And both of them are basically just going to have sugar in it. We're just going to disguise sugar in different ways because it gives you this limbic reality that, quite frankly, is realer than you chewing on fucking acorns. Just the blandness of acorns where you came from, and you've got Babylon's signal telling you, hey man, if we work hard enough, we can invent fucking Cool Whip. We can invent sliced cheese. And you're just like, what the fuck is cheese? How are we gonna what? And you're like, let's go. Your brain is craving Nimrod's algorithm. It's the biggest drug, and it's been given to you. This addiction is older than breathing. It's maybe not older than breathing, but it's up there, right? The moment you develop memory is the moment you developed addiction. It's guided you the whole way. That's all I got. It's a great topic, though.
It is a great topic. Alex, thank you for bringing it up. And I notice you do certainly have a keen eye for opposing forces. And this might seem off the beaten or off the mark, but I've been studying some things about like the law of contrariety and the law. It's be- because we're talking about opposing forces, and I open with war as being the father of all things, and Aristotle is who I'm studying. He recognized opposition, and these it branched into three different things. But interestingly, like in nature, it would be defined as contrary, like black and white, and then and then in between, there might be a color palette of a wide ranging and ever developing spectrum. But it's just interesting to me. I notice in studying this, he made a distinction that in the law of contrariety, there is no negative. Everything is a positive. Whereas in like the law of contradiction, which is a purely logical exercise, we'll say, although it still serves a greater purpose in the sense of something that Mary Jo shared recently about Pluto, about actually being Genesis. And and again, this might seem far off on the tangent, but I want to bring it back around. I've read from other people, not in the Bible, that Christ was first conceived, or first to be like conceptualized mentally, but last to come uh, but to get to what Mary Jo was noticing about this interesting, like coming back around in the loop, whereas Pluto is, according to an astrologist she was sharing, is something akin to a Genesis. Um, this negation, this this not, we don't find not black in the world. It's an exercise that we do to define ourselves. This Babylonian, as we try to grow up from mother, this Babylonian sense of what we're not to propel us up. Um, and I'm don't mean to go all over the place. I want to get to you, Pi. But this, I just got stammered up a little bit by thinking about what James noticed today about these different times when we fuse and the difference between illusion and hallucination. Um, I do agree that illusion has this negative connotation that hallucination doesn't, and yet something I like about the word illusion is that it reminds me that things can be wrong and still work. If we tell ourselves, or just by the act of I might do push-ups thinking they're working for a particular reason and have be completely off on the mechanisms at work. I don't see that. And thank you guys for that tangent. Pi, before I go to you, I just want you to know that you came in so naturally earlier. And I'm sorry for stepping on you. If I gave you the impression that you need to raise your hand every time you want to speak, that's not so. I love when you interject. And but thank you for raising your hand. It's good to see you. Go ahead.
Thanks, Cameron. No, I just didn't end my speech well because I'm lacking in that skill. But yeah, well, I just want to talk to Alex a little bit, and maybe James at the same time. Like James, you might remember a fellow Sergio back in the early Dojo days, and it was very early times, and he would have a lot of stories and things, and somehow we developed a consensus that he was making it up. We Sergio'd him, as I think of it in my mind, and meanwhile I'm saying like all these crazy things as well, and I'm like, why aren't they Sergioing me? That's the way I would think about it. I use that term in my own dialogue. And so it just reminded me with Alex, I used to, when I was feeling more victimized in a certain state, I would say that exact same thing. Like I wouldn't even do that to my enemies. I remember saying that, frequently. And so I just kind of relate to your state where you're kind of incredulous. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like you're in some type of voodoo land vortex or something, where things happen. I'm not exactly sure, but I just want to say that I don't want to say I believe you. I say that I relate to a state that you're in, and I feel like that there's a posture that can be achieved to get you out of it, if you wanted to. Just because I'm just saying that because that's what happened to me, and I saved a lot of electricity. But I see you got a lot of electricity, but seems like you could save a lot of it. Maybe just save a little bit more, like kind of a boundary thing. Develop some strong boundaries so that you can recoup your energy. And kind of like the Maslow's pyramid thing. Just you can't, if you're always in an adversarial situation, it affects your judgment. And I think you deserve a chance to see what it's like to not be in that state, just to see. You can always go back to it. But those were just some of my thoughts, and I just thought I hope you're not offended or anything, but that's truly what was crossing my mind. So I can't really feel too bad about it. Maybe I shouldn't have shared. But anyway, that's all.
No, Pi. I didn't know how to. I recognize when Alex shares that he's dealing with a degree of volatility in like the way things are unfolding in his life. They seem like almost like things are keep exploding in his face. These happenings that Like he can work on his car, and make sure that everything's going great with it. And then as it gets time to go to an important job interview, the car unexpectedly will not work whenever
Yeah.
he's doing due diligence to make sure that it
Yeah.
does so.
This is I think everything is valid and important and perfect what Pi said and what I did not say. I think that ultimately we're watching Alex. Alex doesn't need, in my from my perspective, Alex, even though Alex actually has directly asked me a couple of times, he doesn't use these words, but I've heard Alex a couple of times say, "What do you think about that, James?" And I'll just tell you my interpretation is Alex is asking James, "Do you believe me?" Now, it doesn't have to be exactly that abrupt because here's the God, I hope this comes sounds right. Here's the difference between where I used to be and where I am now. Where I used to be is a little bit closer to what Pi's saying, which is, hey, I'm noticing your engine is idling here at these RPMs. When you do this, you might want to try a different mixture in your fuel injector because you could find that you're going to save some fuel down the line. This is what I mean by it's perfect, and it's a difference from where I am, where I used to be versus where I am now, which is even further away from Sergio, which is fascinating that you bring this up because I've forgotten all about that. But here's another way. It could be that the purple belt way is that uh, really all I really have to do is tell Alex that I see him believing. I don't have to say that I believe Alex. I have to say to Alex, I see you believing. I see your engine working. I see that this is how you propel yourself. If one of us was working on their personal boundaries, and I think Alex struggles with this sometimes, but it's not necessarily all of it encompassing. But if one of us was struggling with our boundaries and we were helping that person, we would actually look for an opportunity where they create a little bit of a fantasy, a little bit of stretching a story, because we saw that they were trying to apply a boundary that they just didn't quite have enough oomph for yet. That they were working on this, oh, I want to apply a boundary, but, and maybe it's a boundary you wouldn't apply, but you're seeing how important it is that they apply it for whatever reason. You don't even know the reason. You're going to tell your neocortex is going to tell you, oh, here's the reason. Oh, and it's purely magnanimous because of how perfect I am. And then there's your prawn economy, which is, I don't want them to do well, not that well, or I really need them to do better because if they can do better, it's going to raise my vibration too. So I want them to apply more boundaries. They need this. Or most of the time, to be quite honest, it's just a projection of ourselves. I wish I would have had boundaries when I was 8. Here's my friend Alex talking about his boundaries right now. He's inserted some things that, in my opinion, are almost leverage. He's giving details about things that could just be leverage. And that ultimately the old me would say, well, I don't believe this, but I believe this, but I believe this, and I believe this. And that anatomy, that dissection of his belief, I think is healthy as fuck, and that we should keep asking each other for that. But I also think that underneath it, there's a whole other way for me to move my calligraphy on the mat more. I think could be even more powerful if I could never have to lie to Alex about which parts of him that I believe or don't, because ultimately I'm not here to insert fuel into Alex's engine. That was the old me thinking that was necessary. All I really want to do is I'm watching someone that's built an engine come down to our shared garage and just run it and show everybody how it works. He's opening the hood. I'm admiring his work. It's not my problem, nor is it my pride and joy. It's neither, right? It's neither one. It's simply interesting. It's simply someone that I can relate to because here's someone that has something that no one else does, which is a muscle car, a belief engine that most of society does not want in their garage. They don't feel it'll fit. They think it's crazy. They think it's too loud. It's got glass packs on it. Everyone's fucking like, what are you fucking nuts? And it brings in all the ladies. All the different things that we think the cars does or doesn't do is very different than the standard run of the mill. This is a Toyota Corolla and it's a lease, so you can't put stickers on it. It's a very different reality, isn't it? I want muscle cars in the garage. They're gonna leak oil. They're gonna have fucked up. It's gonna set on fire. You're gonna watch a dude tell me how great his duster is, and he's on fire from it. This could be Alex. I know it's been me. I know that this has been me. I know that I've been here in that same role, and I've said I need you guys to believe this about this. It's the same thing, and I've tried to jack in. I've tried to jack into your belief to give me, and then I started talking about majoritarianism. Literally, a schism happened. I just started realizing, holy fuck, I didn't realize it. I saw fascism that never existed before. If I pull this off, my calligraphy becomes even more compassionate than it was before when I was just donating fuel to an engine that I may or may not even fucking believe in. I just want people to know that I want to be a part of society. That would be before. I believe you, Alex. I believe you, Alex. I believe in your belief, Alex. I think this is better. I think this is so far superior. It'd be no different than you're watching macaroni drawings and you're like, hey, Kevin, that fucking thing sucks. This drawing of God looks stupid, Kevin. I don't know why you use rigatoni for the neck. That looks really dumb, Kevin. But like it's like that. And and I'm just watching myself all the time going, why are you such an asshole, James? And then I notice it's because of my own fascism. Because the whole time I build a technology of belief that insists everyone around here has to think my engine is bad as fuck. That it's cool as fuck. And it's not. It's a Yugo. It's a Yugo. I really want that one. That's what I want. Because it's gonna be as efficient as fuck and be able to play with it all that stuff. Look car, you know? No one wants that. That's how you know it's for you, right? This is how you know it's for you. So anyway, this is good stuff. It's all of us are here to make our own engines. And I just wanna I don't want to put my fascism on anyone unless you specifically ask for it. If I sense that Alex is saying, I don't know if this is how it would sound. I don't know if I'm seeing this correctly or not, would be a cue for me to say, hey, can you come in and tell me, is this engine dumb? Do you understand what I mean? I think that's valuable. I still think that's important. So this is not a universal, oh, all your engines are perfect. No, I'm going to be able to tell you as a critic. And critics are wrong, right? But I'm going to be able to tell you as a critic, you got too much four-leaf clover in here. Fuck. I can't fucking play with this. I don't know how you're going to find that much four-leaf clover around. You know, I don't, what are you going to run on Thoreau all day? And Alex is like, yeah, I'm going to fucking run on Thoreau. Works fucking perfectly. And he's right. He's fucking right. You know? That's all I got. Thanks.
Alex, go ahead, since you're on the floor currently.
Um, but that's why I come here. This is the only place that I find that actually is honest about it, and people doesn't have their own prerogative or their own, their own. I guess you'd say, I don't know, trying to get over on me or something like that. That's why I come here is to find other people who are experiencing things like me. Because like everything I'm finding about this, everybody says that used to say tarot is evil. It's like the same people that used to say yoga is evil, and like I'm finding these things are more and more true than anything else that I've religion or anything else that I've studied. Because this guy that I was listening to says these people in your group that are part of your family are doing black magic on you. They've given your doll, they're giving your daughter a voodoo doll, and your daughter has this color hair, and your ex-wife has a cat. In fact, she has two cats, and her dog's this color, and starts doing all these things and naming all these things that he has no other way of knowing, no possible way of knowing. And 2 nights after this man tells me these things, I text my ex-wife, questioning her, like, "Did you do this to me? And why are I'm hearing these things and what are these things I'm feeling?" Well, instead of getting in contact with me, she contacts my parents, and we have a meeting at my house where she basically belittles me and accuses me of doing all kinds of things during our marriage that I've never done. Well, 2 days after this, or 3 days after this, one of my best friends calls me that used to live in front of my old property where I used to live with my family. I gave it to them after we separated so that my family, my children always have a place to live. Well, this man calls me to his house and asks me to help him do some work around his house that he paid me. Well, the second day I'm there, he comes up to me crying. Yeah, I've never seen this man cry. This man's about 7 foot tall, weighs about 450 pounds. He's huge. I've never seen this man cry before. And he said, Alex, I have to tell you something. Your daughter's not allowed in my house anymore. I said, what, Lee? What did my daughter do? He says, well, he says, your daughter lied to me and to my wife, and her and my daughter went to a party. It ended up being a black male, 35 years old, and whenever I went to pick them up, they was in bikinis, and they were doing dope at this party, and they stole my bong. And verifying all this other stuff about how he found out that my wife had been doing black magic on me, and her friend that was doing it also had passed away, had died overdose. The one that was helping her do this black magic on me, doing sexual spells on me, all kind of other stuff. So I mean, this is the reason why I bring these things here, is because I have nobody else to talk to about these things, and being stuck in a situation, I'm in a place where the city that I grew up in, I'm having to associate with people that my family members that I have no reason but to associate with them, because I am in parole and I have to stay at this place until my parole is over with 2026. And I'm basically in fighting the best way I can with what I have, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Alex. Uh, I don't want to make what James shared already cliche, but I believe in your power of belief, and I know that. And to borrow from James again, is the Rift of Africa out there in Louisiana in that area. I know the bones of these forces are wet there, and so thanks for sharing.
I might, if I may, just throw in, I also had a point where there were people that publicly said they were going to cast magic at me and freeze my name in a jar. And I had never really thought about it that much. But I guess what came of it is that I just realized my own power, I guess you'd call it. Like if everybody has like a special power, mine was like related to some ancestry and sigils, just to realize that somehow I recognized this circuitry, that I had this opposite circuitry of an ancient ancestor, that's reflexive, and so I was able to adopt a nonchalant attitude towards it, which seemed to like protect me, and that's how I felt. And so that made me believe in that type of magic more, even though I don't. I mostly believed in my ability to like not be affected by it, and it saved me a lot of electricity. And so if you have such a skill somewhere, I guess I would just, not trying to give you advice, but just an encouragement to search for it, because I think it's cool, if you want to, that's all I had to say, really. I just throwing that in.
Good stuff. Bye. Mary Jo, I show you are the next one coming up with your hand raised. Go ahead.
Hello. And Cameron, thank you for sharing your Substack. I really enjoy that. So I'm glad to know about that. So I guess I'm kind of changing the subject a little bit, but it's kind of about earth magic, so I guess not. Um, so I've been listening to lots of James True's videos, and I even listened to some of the airships. And I don't know when you were talking about self-immolation, or I don't know how long ago you were talking about that because I can't remember what I've listened to most recently. But um, and then I saw this story where body of a burned man found in Georgia's Stone Mountain Park, which happened just a few days ago. And I don't I don't look at a lot of the news, so it's sort of like for me, if I'm listening to a lot of stuff and I'm really being a beaked whale and I've got my brain connected to something, then my environment is just going to pop up with stuff like this. And I don't know if you guys know where Stone Mountain is, but it's like outside of Atlanta. And it's really weird because all of the land is pretty flat. If you are in Atlanta, all of the land is flat, except for Stone Mountain is just this thing that just juts out. And it's just like this little dome, and it's a lone little mountain um, that looks kind of strange the way it sticks up. And it says. The park is home to the largest high relief sculpture in the world, which depicts Confederate figures Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, and Stonewall Jackson. And it said the badly burned body of a young man was found Saturday in Georgia's Stone Mountain Park. And then it gets weird because it has coded numbers. It says a hiker came across the body and reported it to authorities about 8:18 a.m. And this it's very odd, peculiar. No one that I've talked to that's worked out here for years has seen anything like this at the park. And so that was the story. And I just think that's really interesting and weird. And I wondered what you guys thought about it.
I'm really glad you saw that. Um, I just posted a link to it just if it helps anyone else. The Stone Mountain is yeah, it's a really fascinating knob. It doesn't really fit with the rest of things there. One of the oldest no enclaves of Confederacy there. Additionally, uh, notice what I'm saying. Additionally, there's a history of white supremacy there too. I don't think those are necessarily the same thing, by the way, but Stone Mountain is especially that way. This time last year, I was swearing to everyone that there's this piece of software I was going to release, and it was all built around self-immolation, and I have not finished that code yet. I can't remember exactly what all happened, but just a lot of things have just occurred in that. But I've been deeply researching self-immolation, trying to get my wrap my wrap my consciousness around how this is perfect. Uh, you know what I mean? This is one of those things where you're like, well, how is it perfect when people are doing that? The Stone Mountain, Georgia one is sadly as obscure as the rest. If you read this article, it does say it looks like a suicide. That's all I can gather. So Mary Jo probably even knows more than this article has in there. So I don't know the details of that except for it doesn't look like a car accident or something. It looks like a guy killed himself through fire. And this is a out of anything that you could say has influenced culture more, I think it would be immolation would do that. John F. Kennedy probably was the most famous person you've ever met that's mentioned just how powerful it was that people setting themselves on fire for the Buddha's birthday when they were told they couldn't celebrate it in a parade caused a guy to douse himself with gasoline. And one of the most famous pictures we have from the Kennedy era is that, and how much that one person changed the entire world. It's such a powerful form of magic. It's four-leaf clover magic on serious, serious, serious focus. Every vertebrae is aimed in a very particular pitch, roll, and yaw. And I think that that focus, that calligraphy shows you the power that you can actually affect everyone inside Osiris. That you as a cell have the ability to reach and touch every single person in Osiris. And Donald Trump is doing it in one way. Alex Jones is doing it in another way. George Washington is doing it in another way. And these figures that, quite frankly, is one of the most profound things is you don't know their names. We don't know this guy's name. Their energy reached you, their propagation reached you without you being able to define their DNA identity. You don't even know their name. We live in a culture that doesn't want you to know their name. We want you to know Donald Trump's name. We do not want you to know the name of a guy that fucking had the courage to set himself on fire. We don't want anyone to know that person's name. But if you stick a needle in your ass and make your balls shrink and pedal a bicycle really fast, we want everyone to know that person's name. Both people did something wrong in our eyes. One is publicly, we want everyone to know about it. One is we do not want anyone to know about it. That tells you everything. Like that cipher right there tells you everything. And hey, I get it. I mean, I really do. Talking about suicide, talking about all these things is heavy work. I do. And I also get how much work it is because we're not talking about it. Like that's the other work that most people don't see, you know. So I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad you shared it.
That's weird. When I looked at it, it opened as a park like on my birthday, and like they say to commemorate a day after Lincoln's assassination. So it has this assassination energy. It's a big quartz. It's like made out of quartz or something. You know, I
Yeah.
just look.
You know, I was gonna. It's almost like too much TMI from me, and I'm actually stopping it for once. But this is an example of where my belief engine is different. I'm telling you something that I think might ruin some things, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone. But here's how I look at a lot of vibrational numbers. When something happens on 322, uh, that is not enough alone to signal that this is powerful. When something powerful happens and it's on 322, I see more of its depth. It raises itself off the page more. I think that we hallucinate the 322. I do not mean that we're changing the ink on the page. I'm telling you that in order to trace the arc of this crayon, the mark that this signal is making, we have to paint it in a limbic way that shows that the neurons are deeper when we're talking about Jefferson Airplane. That song about Alice cuts me deeper than the rest. And the only way I can see that it's deeper than the rest is when I hear that song, I enter into a different sort of, oh yeah. And you go into a different state the same way when we read about 9/11, we see building 7. The same way when we see the synchronicities of things, we're watching the tracers of how limbically powerful this is the key. We need to hallucinate this to show its meaning in our world. This is why when Alex is having uh, uh, a belief engine that might seem to have too much gasoline, you have to understand the architecture of that engine itself, and you really can't. Only Alex is not going to know that. He's literally the only one. That a long, 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 long time ago, someone literally said, I got to get out of bed in the morning. How am I going to do this? We need a story of a demon that's going to kill you if you don't get out of bed. And that this would be the most creative act that we could ever do to encourage us to get up early. And so by having that, we've now established all that we need, the agency that we need. And I would argue that the fantasies that we create are just remembered more. This is the limbic formula that I came up with to walk, says baby. And it probably looks like an emotional flavor. It probably looks like Cheez It. I had a Cheez It 3 days ago. There's a Cheez It over there, and I have to move myself over there. And it looks limbically like Cheez It. It's a fantasy about Cheez It, and it makes you fucking walk. So if we're gonna dissect that, it's wrong. If we're gonna dissect that, it's bullshit. If we're gonna dissect that, it's all religion, some cult bullshit. But if you don't dissect it, it's just worse. How does this kid, he walks on the power of Cheez-Its. This is everything. This is cellular ribbon memory. The ribbons in the cells, the riboflavin, I think they're called, is memory, not riboflavins, but ribo somethings. the ribosomes or something, or memorizing that, storing it, and going, this is what worked last time. All I know is you go in here and you pull this lever, and let this out and push this button, and then now you're walking. What is that? That's Cheez It, you know? You get it. Thanks.
It was on the 33rd parallel too.
Yep.
So
Yep. Isn't this why the pyramids are the way they are? Where every single number has to align? They would have to, because every single person knows what the pyramid. This is the pinnacle. This is the omphalos. All of us have this shape, this central idea. So it would have to resonate as the perfect sacrum, the perfect spot. It would have to resonate. So all the numbers are going to resonate. Where it is, how big it is, the slope of it is, even if we don't know the ground. We were telling it how high it was before we even knew the base. We don't even, guys, we don't even know the base yet. We still don't know that. But we're convinced it's this. Why? Because that's how we finish our hallucination. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's glitter. Glitter is real. It's a real life thing. You see glitter across the room, it's going to make you go, "Hey, who's that with all the glitter?" I mean, it works. It's no different than a fucking table with a glass of water and a fucking napkin. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same glitter, right? So it's real and it's not real. It's not real because you're hallucinating and you're going to have to fill in the numerology or the symbology or the gutterology, right? Because there's one, the gutterology of how does this feel in my gut, to adequately paint the accuracy of what you're seeing, because it's an illusion anyway. So we might as well hallucinate it correctly, and we have all the palettes of emotions to apply. All we have to do is trust ourselves. Oh, look at that. That's funny. That's all we had to do. And that's the ultimate religion, is trusting yourself. I swear this should be on a t-shirt, but isn't it? Isn't like that the ultimate religion? The only church really does boil down to, do you trust yourself?
do you think that's why the myths have you can't look back? Like you can't look Orpheus couldn't look back at his wife and Lot couldn't look back. Does that have to do with that, do you think?
I think so, because of the death of memory. It's, you know, you have to break the chain of memory, would be the only way that you could start over or reset or do anything else. Like there's no movement without that. Um, but it's sort of like the beach compression. Luckily, time is constantly washing the shit away with water. So it's almost like we have a perfect system that was created here for the sole purpose of having a windshield wiper that's naturally wiping our beliefs, just to make us redo it the same way a spider is encouraged over and over. Dude, I can see this. It's a cobweb now. It's like, well, when did it become a cobweb? At what point did this become a cobweb? And this is necessary. It's the only thing that's going to make the spider build again. So in a way, this is how a smart contract works. I'm sorry it's so boring, but a smart contract has to verify itself on the network, and that the way that we would verify ourselves on the network is we'd have to say "I am" over and over again. It's like the perfect proof of "I am, I am, I am." As long as you can say "I am," you own this. You own this space. I poke you with stick. If you say "I am," it means, "Oh, no, excuse me. Well, pardon me." It's the ultimate network interface that joins the network over and over again. It's the Wi-Fi that keeps throwing you off. And you're like, I don't care if you keep throwing me off. I want to live. I will keep connecting. If I can only get one web page, then you connect me. I'll do that. I'll fucking do that all day long, because that's my soul. That's what I want, because I'm addicted to limbic anything. Anything. If you remember, I showed you the graphics of what it takes to generate dopamine, and they're just like C and good and good. It's just simple fucking shapes. It's the difference. It's actually not the difference. It's the anticipation of the difference that stimulates the dopamine. It is the anticipation of the carrot cake, not the suffering that I will endure. It is the anticipation of it. I am assembled into that. I do not, I'm trying to find a reality where I can only have that and not digest the rest of the signal. And I don't think there's a way. It'd be cool if I could learn this. Still working on it.
You guys are blowing my mind. I think maybe Babylon has achieved this in a sense, like with the story that Mary just shares, where they've essentially entombed an unknown soldier at the feet of Jefferson Davis, and through this story. It and I say that because after Orpheus and Lot's wife couldn't look back, this is almost you can look back and appreciate what you don't know. It's like almost like a middle ground, if that uh, um, makes any sense. True. Thank you for being patient with your hand. It's great to see you. Go ahead.
It's it's a blessing to be here. I just I thought I knew what I was going to say, but now gosh, so much good stuff here. But I did want to touch base on the I am. I went to AA for, I don't know, about 3 years. And the reason, and I found it was a great place for people to share from their heart. That's what I really appreciated. I never did the 12 steps, I got to be honest. I never did all 12. You know, I've been doing a fearless moral inventory for a long time. But the reason that I stopped going was the phrase, I am an alcoholic. Anything that I attach to the phrase, I am, kind of locks into place. And I found I wanted to make other choices. That's all. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Self-immolation. I remember seeing a picture of a Buddhist monk in Life magazine when I was about 8 years old, back in the 60s. But when the Vietnam, and the way I remember it, this monk had set himself on fire to protest all the violence that was going on in Vietnam. And it struck me more than anything else that I had ever seen about the Vietnam War. It literally changed my, it brought my attention. You know, I thought it was, you know, an 8-year-old, oh, they're playing Army Man over there. You know, I mean, it brought it home for me. That's all I'm going to say. But my real point was, I've been going through a grieving process, I guess, for about 6 months with a lot of things, and I just cut to the chase. One of the steps in my grieving process I skipped. I've been skipping around, which is kind of odd because it's my go-to emotion is anger. And my opponent kicked my ass this morning for the stupidest things. I mean, I just went ballistic in my car by myself. And just the stupidest things set it off was I've got this, I don't know if you can see it, I've got this phone clip. You see I've got it rigged. My phone kept falling out. My windshield's fogging up. I couldn't see. I did not feel safe in this car because I'm distracted. And then I started going, okay, what's this really all about? What's this really all about? What about this? What about this? What about this? And I started trying on these masks, these reasons, trying to find a reason for it. Like, I just lost, you know, and my thing in the past was I would put this mask on, put this reason on and go. And this morning it was like, no, okay, no, pick up another one. All these different reasons. There's something behind it. There's something behind it. And it was like gradually the octane and the anger meter started going down every time I refused to put that mask completely on. You know, I pick it up and look at it, and no, that's not it. That's a valid reason, but that's not the reason. You know what I'm saying? And I went back to my go-to. I'm addicted. If I'm addicted to something, I am addicted to breathing. I really am, James. I'll own that. That's my go-to. And I started really doing it. Really just letting the energy flow through me, all that grief and the anger, and sitting in it and just smiling at the clouds in the sky. I mean, it was a beautiful morning. Even the clouds were beautiful. So I guess that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
easiest way to not get out of the gate is to think that the fact that you're angry is a failure. And I think this is what kills modern transcendentalism, at least the American version of it, more than anything else, is the idea that you're supposed to be so Buddha as fuck that you don't get angry. And I don't think this is Buddha at all. I don't think, why is he pictured so many times in laughter if we're not supposed to feel anything? And ultimately the compass is there to tell you how to feel. And if you can afford to notice that you're mad, then you can really, if you really are just so so far ahead of almost everyone else around. And when you catch yourself in anger, what you're really doing is you're proving that you have enough calories to pull off some calligraphy that's quite frankly really important. You get angry in the form of pharmacose. You're looking for a tissue to empty your nose. You create the tissue, you place it into the chamber, and you pull the trigger. And that trigger that you pull is there. It's not about the tissue at all. The tissue is not a problem. But now you have a tissue stuck to your face, and stuck to your face because it was the pharmacose. It was using the ability of blaming the anger that you have to release energy that it's kind of difficult to talk about, difficult to name. You don't even know what it is. You don't even know why it's there, why it should go. Should it go? You don't even know. Are you really better if you clear your nose? Is it better this way? No one's really told you that. We just do it naturally. If we can just
I
be
think thought
honest with
bubbles could be
this,
quite
we're going to
quite
enjoy it.
handsome.
We're going to enjoy ourselves a lot more if we can just find this anger and make it profitable. Find the frustration and make it profitable. Find the truth of how I really feel about Alex, for example, and make that profitable. How do I convey to Alex honesty, but also tell him exactly how I feel? But I have to now change my complete philosophy about do I believe him or not. That's all a process that, quite frankly, I had to have enough juice to just trust myself enough in the process to not deliver a facade. But the facade, even if I delivered that, is my charlatan. And the charlatan is my child pretending to be something it's not, which is coming from the most natural, beautiful, warm place that there could ever be. So the lie itself is emanating from a bottomless pit of, I would love to be able to do this for you. Would love to. It's why every single 5-year-old will say, yeah, I'll be a doctor. What happened? Oh, you got in a car wreck? Oh, let's see what I got. What do I got here? They're going to try. They don't give a shit if it matters. It just means nothing to them. This isn't necessarily bad, right? It's when we've developed a culture where we think we're supposed to be cool, where we're both supposed to be the marble man, right? Where dude, you just have to look really good all the time in a Stetson, and your chin cannot look like that. You have to always be side profile. You got to always be brooding. Why are you showing emotion? I said brooding. No. I didn't say angry. I said brooding. What is brooding? That's brood. That's all it takes. It's just stoic. Yeah, sure, if you want to call it that, but it's brooding. It's more important than that. It's the culture. It's the fashion of that, right? The fashion of being a teenager and not stopping. When a teenager is like, nothing's cool, that's a safety mechanism. This is what I mean. You can afford to do that. A grown person can afford to realize they're taking themselves too seriously and stop. A teenager can't afford that. Are you kidding? No, they're going to hold this tantrum. They're going to this whole house will feel the wrath of me not admitting that I'm taking myself too seriously. This is how you handle a teen, is you see that and you give them room to be that way. Now do that to everyone around you, including yourself.
Thank you so much, True, for sharing what you did. I have difficult times with anger, although as I watch you guys, from True to James to Pi, people who have been able to engage their anger in this format, I really respect that. I think I used to think my inability to display anger was a lack of trust in those around me, but I think it's a lack of trust in myself. Um, but mostly, I want to thank you for sharing your process of breath, and I hope everybody in the dojo and beyond, if anyone's listening, and also when it comes to Renee talking about stretching, and I hope you guys listen because they're just profound. I think adaptation can almost be like a weakness. I felt that way about myself, trying to hold on to what were important convictions to me in a world that is beating me down for them.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have to jump in here because I think that this is one of the biggest realms of growth. And I want you to go ahead and get used to the fact that people are going to punish you even if you don't deserve it because you decided to share or express your anger, and that people are punishing you for that, and that we live in a punitive world that is purposely punishing you for that. And the only way you can show your anger is if you can find a profitable way to do that for everyone else around you. It's a very tricky kind of economy, and it more has to deal with appeasing everyone else around you. And this is why it's so important that most people, okay, I'm going to try and do this without having to go into genders. One survival technique would be to do that. How can I express anger when I'm not allowed to express anger? I have to insert it into the social vernacular through rumor. I have to express my anger at this other person by setting all these rumors up to where 12 different people will simultaneously attack someone from 12 different angles, and they're all based on falsetto, false expression of anger that is still being expressed. The anger is still being expressed. All that's happening now is we're forcing a matrix of injustice to swallow it in a colloquial way. That's all we're doing. So none of the anger is actually being allowed to express itself precisely because people are so afraid of seeing that. And the only reason why they're afraid of seeing that is actually not because you're too angry or you can't handle it or you don't even trust yourself. I think it's because we have developed a system of expect me between 11 and 15 hertz, expect me between 11 and 15 hertz, and people reward you. Cameron's always 11 to 15 hertz. It's great. Way to go, Cameron. Sticking in that 11 to 15 hertz bubble. You're in the thermocline. You're perfect. You're perfect. And anger is the opposite of that. That anger would require you to release more, and the moment you release more, either before or out of, if you're too happy, or if you're too happy, they won't trust you. What the fuck's up with him? What do you mean? He told me to have a good day. That only happens because you're used to 11 to 15 hertz. So most of us are experiencing not, I'm not allowed to show anger. Most of us are experiencing a state of, I'm not allowed to express a hertz that is too outside the norm of what is expected of me. If you wanted to start applying yourself more, you're going to have to lose friends instantly. It's going to have to happen. You have to prove to everyone around you that it's worth you losing friends. And most of us cannot afford, me included, to lose friends. And so you can't. So you just can't express your anger. You're not allowed to. Doesn't matter. You've watched this happen in this dojo with people all the time. If I'm dissatisfied with a mod, I'm not allowed to express that. Has to be a certain way. I should have started rumor. I could have taken him out, Renee. We should have just started rumors. We should have, seriously, we should have just started rumors and waited 6 months, right? And slowly bring more and more and unrolled each of them out. And we don't because we don't want to function that way. And we don't want to function that way. And the rest of the world actually does make everyone pay for that because not because you don't want people to function that way, it's because you're functioning outside of your zone. If you can establish yourself as a schizophrenic nut job all the time, people are going to accept you. But you have to be consistent. Isn't that weird? I've said this before and it's not a joke. You have to be consistent. If you are consistently expressing your anger, people will allow it. If you atrophy your anger and do not express it over an attempt to show how fucking cool you are sabotaging yourself and you are stealing from everyone else in the room because they're expecting something out of you that you were not able to withhold. So you are angry at your own deceit, at your own atrophy. You're angry at your own atrophy. And this is probably the hardest thing to really focus in on. And I'll tell you why it's hardest. Because when I look, like when I grew up in my house, and I think about the only way I could have expressed that anger would be to be homeless. Be the only I tried everything. The only way I was able to fully express any kind of anger at all growing up was I had to move. I had to move and set up phantom relationships with people so I could purposely try and recreate the situation. Okay, here's the situation. I'm nice all the time. I never do anything wrong. Now you're going to do something that's going to upset me, and I'm going to have to try and practice my anger. And I'm not telling anyone this. So I'm having these insane relationships most of my life with people that are like, why are you so fucking unpredictable? And me, the entire time, a little child in me saying, why are you rejecting my unpredictability so much? Why is that such a fucking problem for you? Can you show me the person that I physically have ever hurt? Can you show me the person that I've stabbed, maimed, punched, bruised, taken advantage of, pushed over a cliff, robbed? Can you show me that? Because what I see constantly is, I don't want to hear that note from you. I don't want to hear you sing the note of I'm angry, James. And I don't want to hear it because you don't sing it enough. You don't have enough practice. Do you see? If you don't practice this song, don't be fucking singing that around me. I don't want to hear it. This is truly what we're doing. We're asking each other to get better at singing angry, at singing this stuff, right? And you have to pay for it. You have to get out on the stage and embarrass. You have to lose friends. You have to lose friends. You're going to lose people over this. Nancy's been haunting me because of something she said in the last dojo in reference to two people that used to be here. I feel I lost Noam because I was like, dude, I have to tell you I'm angry. I think that's why I lost him. I was punished for that because I'm like, sorry, I have to share something with you. I'm angry at you. And I think I was pretty cool about it. I don't recall. I definitely said suck my dick. I definitely did. But I think that I think we should be allowed to say that to each other. If I'm really mad at you and you're not hearing my voice, I should be allowed to say, hey, suck my fucking dick. I should be able to I don't think that that's too much. But I can get how if fucking Mr. Rogers comes in and says, suck my fucking dick, that's just going to be like, that's a lot more. That's a lot more to accept, right? It's a lot more. And this is the subtlety that I've never learned. Never. I mean, I see it. I'd love to get better at it. This is a purple belt rising, right? When you just start to realize all I can do is say, I believe in your belief. I think this is how that rises from there. Because you start to have these conversations with yourself and you start to realize, I think you really do realize I'm just not going to be able to express this certain anger. If I want to have a social life, I'm not going to be able to be angry about certain things. It sucks, but it's just true. If you've been wronged by someone else, it is not the responsibility of everyone else in their field to hold that wrongness for you. And in my mind, this means, well, why do we have a society? That's how, and that's why I'm constantly disappointed by society. It's why I live on a fucking mountain alone, because I don't see us doing that. And I don't want to, I don't gain trust from that. I can't build a society with that where we're just like, yeah, but he's Elon Musk, man. He's going to fucking say, I mean, that's what makes me so fucking mad. It's just like, so we're just going to keep going back to this. That's the stuff that I have to find a way to express my anger about. So I had to invent a live stream doing the same thing Alex is. I'm asking you, can you please believe me that politics isn't exactly real, that it's sort of more like this? I need that to socially feel okay. I don't even need you to believe me. I need you to just fulfill the social obligation of just seeing my belief. I've said this before about schizophrenia, but I really do think this is at the heart of what it feels like to go schizophrenic. You don't have someone else who's willing to witness something that you're witnessing that frankly has too much torque for anyone else, which is why maybe all we have to do is just witness each other believing. That's really all it takes. Isn't this the same thing when you're on a playground and you're a kid and people are playing My Little Pony? You're just not fully into it. You're watching them play. You're kind of hoping maybe I can get into My Little Pony. Horses are cool. But they just keep brushing the tails. And you're just like, that's so boring. It's like Boy Scouts again. Why are we wearing uniforms? You're right there. I don't want to destroy I mean, I'd love it if we could all play. I'll try and manipulate them to allow me to enter the fantasy, right? But it's not going to work. I'm outnumbered. I'm outnumbered by this. This is us all the time. We did not stop playing. We started playing so serious that we forgot. You know what I mean? It's like that. And if we can remember this, it gets a lot easier because you can be around people that, quite frankly, you're sort of like, is this person okay? And yeah, because you're okay. Your cosmology has more than enough room for this. And there's the purple belt. And honestly, you'd stop being angry so much. You wouldn't be angry so much because nothing could hurt you anymore. Nothing could hurt you anymore because you can predict all this behavior. Why can you predict all this behavior? Because you have enough calories to know, to simulate every other person on the mat. You can simulate. It's very simple. You just be them. You just be them. If you have the same calories as they do and you're being someone, you're probably going to know exactly what they're going to say. You're going to be able to finish their sentences. This is telepathy. This is all of us being one. Omniscience, compassion, same fucking thing, right?
Thank you so much, James. We've come to the time to close dojo number 229. We're going to go ahead and leave those raised hands. Nancy, Sarah, Mary Jo, thank you so much for raising your hands. We'll leave those for
Sorry,
next.
guys. Yeah.
Not at all, James. Looking forward to the interview you have coming up in probably less than half an hour now.
Yeah, I'd stay, but I'm sorry. I should not have blabbed so much. I really wanted to hear you, Nancy and Sarah. And yeah, I got 5 minutes if you can, but I don't want to crunch it either. You
Yeah,
guys.
maybe we can. I'm gonna say I've got things to also going. James, if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and close it here. And with thanks for everybody for contributing, and so excited.
Thanks, Cameron. Good job.
Right. And if everyone wants to unmute and say goodbye, we'll go ahead.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
Happy
Happy
Friday.
everyone.
Love you guys.
Bye, y'all.